Hello, welcome to News Central Now. I am Adebola Adedugba. The top stories at this hour. Courts grants former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello 500 million naira bail over alleged 80 billion naira fraud. Take It Back movement demands release of activists Abiodun Thomas. DR Congo, Rwanda leaders to hold peace talks in Angola. And details shortly. Let's begin by telling you that the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted bail to the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, to the tune of 500 million naira. Justice Emeka Nwete, who presided over the court session on Friday, ordered that the former governor must produce 2 sureties in like sum. He said the 2 sureties must swear to an affidavit of means and must be owners of property in Abuja. He also ruled that Bello be remanded in Kogi Correctional Center in Abuja, pending the perfection of his bail conditions. Bello pleaded not guilty to the alleged 80 billion naira fraud leveled against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The Lagos State Special Offences Court in Ikeja has scheduled January 7th, 2025 to rule on objection raised by former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele in the $4.5 billion and 2.8 billion naira fraud case brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Emefiele, alongside co-defendant Henry Umuahia, is facing 26 charges before Justice Rahman Oshodi. At Thursday's hearing, Emefiele's counsel, Olaleko Ojo-San, argued that the court lacks territorial jurisdiction to hear the case, claiming the alleged offences occurred outside the court's jurisdiction. Countering the claim, EFCC counsel Rotimi Oyedepo-san maintained that the charges fall under the agency's purview as economic and financial crimes, asserting Lagos as the proper venue for the trial based on available evidence. After listening to submissions from both parties, Justice Oshodi adjourned proceedings to January 7th, 2025 to deliver a ruling on the jurisdictional objection. The Nigerian House of Representatives has initiated an investigation into the alleged mismanagement of a $232 million World Bank loan intended for the Accelerating Nutrition Result in Nigeria ANRiN program. Now, this development comes after Honorable Chike Okafor sponsored a motion expressing concerns about the program's effectiveness in addressing malnutrition in Nigeria. The ANRiN program, launched in 2018, aims to enhance access to nutrition services for vulnerable populations across 12 states of the Federation. However, despite its well-intentioned goals, recent statistics indicate deteriorating nutritional outcomes, prompting doubts about the impact of the allocated funds. The House has mandated its Committee on Nutrition and Food Security, Finance, AIDS, Loans and Debt Management to examine the use of the funds and ensure the program's objectives are not abused.
That the programs so far have been alleged to be water everywhere, but no water to drink. A beautiful program for solving malnutrition challenges, but it has appeared to produce miraculous and obviously ineffective outcomes, taking cognizance of the reports and current indicators of Nigeria amidst such a huge and humongous loan from the World Bank. Worried that the recently released Nigeria Demographic Health Survey 2023 and 2024 indicated a worsening of nutrition specifics, with indices showing an increase in under 5 stunting and malnutrition, and the current realities raising questions about the $232 million spent for nutritional intervention and Nigeria's poor global ranking.
Despite the fact that TB is curable and preventable, it kills more people than HIV and malaria. Combined globally, and is the leading cause of death in Nigeria. It is associated with HIV/AIDS, undernutrition, non-communicable diseases, as well as stigma, discrimination, and other human rights abuses. The House notes that Nigeria currently ranks first in Africa and sixth in the world accounting for about 4.6% of global TB burden. According to World Health Organization, about 11 million people get infected with tuberculosis, and 1.8 million die each year from the disease, making it the world's top infectious disease killer. The House is aware that significant...
Away from that, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi-San, has issued a stern warning to state governors defying the Supreme Court's ruling on local government autonomy. And speaking in Abuja on Thursday at the 2024 Annual Conference of National Association of Judiciary Correspondents, Fagbemi threatened to file contempt of court charges if the disregard continues. The Supreme Court, in a landmark judgment on July 11, 2024, upheld the financial autonomy of Nigeria's 774 local government areas and bad governance from controlling funds met for the councils. Now, it also mandated the Accountant General of the Federation to remit allocations directly to local government accounts, declaring the previous practice unconstitutional. However, more than 5 months after the ruling, the federal government is yet to implement a directive prompting concerns about compliance with the Apex Court decision. And to unpack this, we're joined by a legal practitioner and CEO, House of Justice, Gloria Balogun. Good evening, glad to have you join me on the program.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, let me kick off by asking what your thoughts are regarding the threat by the Attorney General of the Federation, as well as the Minister of Justice, warning that state governors should not defy the Supreme Court decision or ruling on local government autonomy.
Well, what we expect is not a threat, but an actualization of what the Supreme Court delivered in its judgment of 11 July 2024. The Attorney General of the Federation is the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the Federation. He is also the counsel for the public. And so if a landmark judgment like the one delivered on the local government autonomy has not been obeyed, then it's not a question of threat right now. It's that the Supreme Court, which is a policy court, cannot deliver a judgment, and then what will happen, as we now see, is a situation where state governors are even going as far as enacting laws and passing bills to countermand the judgment of the Supreme Court. When this kind of action happens, what we call for is mass chaos. And it's ironic that we have the state governors debating the existence of the local government, but they do not want the existence of the state debated. The same constitution that guarantees the existence of local government also guarantees the existence of states and governors as well. And so it's important that when the Constitution has made its design, the Constitution being the expression of the will of the people, and the Supreme Court as a policy court decides on a decision, then it's important that that decision should be respected. And so to speak directly to your question, we want to see the Attorney General of the Federation move from threats to activating the machinery of the law to enforce the judgment that was delivered on the 11th of July, 2024.
I know you talked about it's not a matter of threats, but then action. I'd like you to expatiate a bit further regarding the Supreme Court's ruling when it comes to local government autonomy. How should they ensure compliance on that verdict?
The law has its own, there are laws for the enforcement of judgments which can be activated, and that's a basic thing that happens with the legal system. But I think more troubling is the fact that after the Supreme Court delivered this judgment on the 11th of July, we're having governors openly coming out to act as though the judgment of the Supreme Court ought not to have been delivered. For example, the governor of Oyo State has called for homegrown, in quotes, solutions to the issue of local government autonomy. I don't think that that is open to his own opinion. I think that once the Supreme Court has made a decision, the next thing that we should see is the implementation of that decision. We have also seen, as in the case in Anambra, that Section 13(4) of the bill around the local government has been activated. They are now refusing a situation where the local government will have its own autonomy. In fact, in Anambra State, the governor has signed that bill into law, and that flies in the face of a judgment of the Supreme Court that has already been delivered and is existing. And that's actually contempt of court. And it's important that the Attorney General looks at it from that tangent with a view to implementing. But again, we saw a mass action by the governors. You would recall that Nigerians went to the polls to have their local government elections a few months back. What we saw is that in all the states, what they delivered was 10/10. Governors just decided, they picked and chose who they wanted as local government chairmen, which means that they, the governments themselves, the governors themselves, do not respect the tenets of the democracy that brought them into their offices. And it's quite unfortunate. It's even more unfortunate where we have some of these governors who were part of the effort to bring democracy into existence, being the people at the forefront of ensuring that this judgment is not respected or complied with. So I would say that it's important that we have a total overhaul of the actions of these governors as regards their contempt of the judgment that was delivered on the 11th of July 2024.
And talking about governors, Gloria, let me touch on the immunity granted to governors themselves. How do you situate that with the impact it will have on enforcing Supreme Court's ruling on local government autonomy?
For a long time, the advocacy has always been, particularly for those of us in the civil society group, that when a governor, a deputy governor, a president, or a vice president willfully disregards the law, flaunts the law, then we shouldn't have this, the Section 308 availing for them. If you have no respect for the Constitution, then the Constitution should not defend you. In any case, having sworn to uphold the Constitution, and then the governors will then go ahead to do what they're doing right now, which is not obeying the Constitution and leading the people to set up what looks like law but is illegality against what the decision of the Supreme Court does, should not avail them the cover of immunity. But I think the wider implication of what we're dealing with is that we have a situation where leaders assume that they can be above the law, and that the people who have decided that they want the local government should be beneath the law, which I think is unfortunate, that we would have governors be the ones lead in the subjugation and the undermining of the Supreme Court. It's a serious issue that needs to be looked at and reviewed.
Now, still talking on local government autonomy, what do you foresee could be the storm brewing or challenges, on the way when it comes to directive on local government autonomy? What really are the chances of success, for such a challenge?
There was the decision that the accountant general will pay the funds directly to the local government coffers. Unfortunately, more than 5 months after, this has not been implemented. So even the federal government itself has not even helped in this decision of ensuring that the local government carries out its duty in the autonomy that has been provided by the Constitution. I do not see what the challenge is because there has been a lot of fears by the state governors around the autonomy of local government as though the states would not exist without the local government. If the states can exist independent of the federal government, then the local government should exist independent of the states as well. What we have seen is that it's taken quite some time for us to have proper local government elections. And I think also we need to be speaking with the electoral commissions, both the State Electoral Commission and INEC, around why it seems like the local government election is an afterthought. Because if we're able to give it the kind of primacy that we give to elections for the governors, for the House of Reps and the Houses of Assembly, we'll probably not have the discussion that we are having right now. So I do not see any fallbacks that there could be if we have a local government autonomy. What it just means is that government gets closer to the people. The state governors themselves will have to now sit up to look for other ways to have funds and to run the states effectively.
And that's a fine place
rather than just exist in the realm of fear, it's important that we respect the law and we move towards its implementation.
That's a fine place to anchor it. Thank you so much for your expertise on the news. Gloria Balogun, legal practitioner, CEO, House of Justice. Many thanks indeed. We'll take a break. Now, when we return, we'll talk about Take It Back movement demands for release of activist Abiodun Thomas. Details shortly. Join us again. Thank you for staying tuned. The Take It Back movement, a human rights organization, has demanded for the immediate release of Nigerian female activist Comrade Abiodun Thomas, also known as Olamide Africano, who was allegedly arrested by the Nigeria police force. The group is calling on the Lagos State Commissioner of Police to order her immediate and unconditional release. And this was contained in a statement released by members of the organizing committee of End Bad Governance in Nigeria and Lagos State, Hassan Taiwo Soweto and Oloye Adegboyega Ademiji on Friday. Nurse Abiodun Thomas is said to be a prominent activist and critic of President Tinubu's policies, as well as the conduct of the Nigerian police. According to the statement, she has been involved in seeking justice for victims of domestic and sexual violence in Lagos State. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the appointment of Nwaku Chindidi as Acting Controller General of the Nigerian Correctional Services, NCOS, and following the retirement of Haliru Nababa from the service. Haliru Nababa served as Controller General for 3 years and 7 months. He was appointed as Controller General by former President Muhammadu Buhari, and his tenure would end 15th of December. Haliru was pulled out of the service in a colorful ceremony on Friday. According to a statement signed by Ahmed Jafaro, the Secretary of the Board of Civil Defense, Correctional, Fire and Immigration Services, the appointment of Mr. Nwaku Chindidi takes effect from 15th December 2024. The Lagos State Police Community Relations Committee, PCRC, brought together dignitaries, law enforcement and community leaders to celebrate its annual end-of-the-year banquet. Now, the event, themed around fostering collaboration and empowerment, provided a platform to reflect on the year's achievements and further strengthen community relations with the police force. Our correspondent, Chidima Ona, has details of that report.
The evening commenced with the arrival of members, guests and dignitaries, followed by the national anthem and an opening prayer setting a solemn and celebratory tone. The Lagos State Commissioner of Police, represented by Ben Hussein, the Public Relations Officer of the Lagos State Police Command, delivered an appreciation message to the PCRC members recognizing their efforts.
Thank you all for the wonderful work you have been doing. We might not thank you enough, but trust me, we notice and appreciate everything you are doing. So like I said, first and foremost, appreciation, and secondly, to encourage you to continue to do what you're doing, to encourage you to expand your posts, bring more people on board. The more the merrier. We would like to experience the good things we're experiencing with PCRC in multiple folds.
The special guest of honor, Secretary to the State Government, Abimbola Saluidane, commended the PCRC vital role in strengthening the bond between communities and law enforcement officers.
This gathering is a testament to the vital role the PCRC plays in strengthening the bond between law enforcement and the communities they serve. If no other state has testimonies about the efficacy, the efficiency, and all the good works that the PCRC is doing, I assure you that Lagos State has a testimony.
A major highlight of the event was the 2024 banquet lecture delivered by the PCRC National Chairman, who spoke on the actions the PCRC has taken in maintaining safety.
The essence of community policing is to return to the day when safety and security are participatory in nature and everyone assumes responsibility for general health of their community. Not just its lake field, not just the local government administration, not just safety forces, but absolutely everyone living in the community.
The atmosphere turned festive as participants expressed appreciation for the Lagos State government's commitment to empowering the youth and fostering economic growth through community initiatives. In Lagos, reporting for News Central, I am Chidima Ona.
And now to health matters, where the Lagos State government commemorated the 2024 Universal Health Coverage Day with an awareness walk, highlighted its commitment to ensuring accessible and affordable health care for all residents. The event aimed to raise public consciousness about the importance of achieving universal health coverage, UHC, and the state's ongoing efforts to make quality healthcare services available to every Lagosian, regardless of socio-economic status. Our correspondent, Igbalani Yomoni, fills us in.
Participants, including government officials, healthcare practitioners, civil society organizations, and concerned citizens, gathered at Lashmo headquarters at Laosai Keja, the starting point of the awareness walk. The atmosphere was electric, with participants adorned in white t-shirts and carrying banners emblazoned with slogans promoting UHC. The walk traversed the Lagos State Government Secretariat at Laosai Keja and its environment, drawing attention to the importance of health insurance.
We felt that it is necessary, especially since the theme this year says health, it's on the government. So we are showing how it can be done the Ilera way, and we've had several activities. This is one of those activities that we're using to mark the entire week, just to create awareness and ensure that people come on board, because health insurance is actually the way to go to safeguard the quality of your life.
So part of the support that the Global Fund is providing to Lagos State is to actually put indigent people who are living with HIV, those who cannot actually afford healthcare services, to actually support them in paying their premium, so they can actually have access to health insurance and be able to access other healthcare services that they actually need.
The event served as a powerful reminder of the collective responsibility to achieve universal health coverage and ensure that no one is left behind in accessing essential healthcare services.
And we've watched the scheme grow. We've also watched the commitments of the government increase, especially in the area of equity fund. We've watched equity fund become a first-line charge, and it has helped to improve coverage, especially for vulnerable populations.
If you have sickle cell disorder and you need to be transfused blood, and you come to any of the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service Center, Mr. Governor is also ensuring that you have the blood without payment. So really, I'm so happy. Really, you shouldn't go into poverty because you need health care.
I would encourage Lagosians to key into insurance, right? Because insurance means coverage for all. They should be open to buying insurance. Lashma has interesting packages that once they have access to, it gives them access to health care.
As the day drew to a close, participants left with a renewed sense of hope and determination, recognizing that the journey towards universal health coverage is a collective endeavor that requires the sustained efforts of all stakeholders, including the government, health providers, and the general public. In Lagos for News Central, I am Igbalani Omani.
Connecting Women Who Trade under the subsidiary of Blueprint Group has once again recognized the immense potential of women in trade and their contribution to Africa's economic growth. CWT at a media conference emphasized the importance of fostering collaboration, providing access to resources, and dismantling the silos that often hinder women's achievement, as this will create a robust ecosystem for female entrepreneurs to thrive. Our correspondent, Umuahia, throws more light.
Empowering women through trade not only creates synergies that boost economies and strengthen communities, but also enhance their capabilities to contribute meaningfully to the society. Conversations about empowering women was brought to the fore again at the Connecting Women Who Trade lunch and media briefing, which brought together critical stakeholders from Africa's trade and investment sector, as well as other industries.
We equally felt it was important that they are recognized and that our organization creates a link where women across the world can find each other, do business with each other, and help each other grow.
These initiatives come with connecting individuals, which sometimes can be prohibiting if you want to scale. But because we're doing a business-to-business infrastructure, we're connecting 10,000 associations that are already working with women, but we want to help them scale and improve with trading and financing and solutions.
Although the event focused on fostering economic growth and shattering gender barriers in trade, it also highlighted the role government plays through its policies to enhance ease of doing business in Nigeria and Africa at large.
I believe that there's a large recognition of the role that women play in terms of trade in Nigeria, and government is doing a lot to assist and facilitate the success.
There's a lot that we can do collectively, and from that standpoint, and it's also about policy. So we're also working across Lagos State to ensure that there's an enabling policy, making sure we're providing the right, affordable access to finance. That's another aspect of it.
However, experts emphasize the importance of cross-border trade in fostering economic growth, while focusing on the role technology plays in improving collaboration among women across different countries.
If we can create a space where they can come together, speak about their combined challenges, as well as come up with practical steps on how these issues can be resolved, I think that would be a great step forward.
Because of technology, the marketplace is a global marketplace, right? And so for that purpose, women in trade need to be prepared, right? And to think not just locally. Even if you have a local business, it's helpful to approach those sometimes from a perspective that it's a global economy.
Connecting Women with Trade therefore hopes to accomplish its mandate by unifying 1 million women with trade through associations, organizations, and individuals who are dedicated to supporting the success of women in business across Africa, the Americas, and the Caribbean. In Lagos for News Central, I am Omolola Ololade.
Only 2 weeks to the 2024 Christmas, residents of Umuahia seem unperturbed about the state of the economy as they plan big for the celebration. Though some admit it is not the best of time for celebrations, they say the season is beyond their predicament. News Central's Chiwo Gili interviewed a cross-section of the residents in Umuahia, the capital of Abia State, about their feelings towards the Yuletide.
Super excited because it's a season of love. We get to show love, share love, and receive love from family and friends.
It is still normal buying and selling in Umuahia. Vehicular traffic and transportation still on a low key even as Christmas approaches. Give it 7 days from now and the entire scenario changes to chaos of last-minute buys, traffic congestion with the influx of vehicles. Some people have done their Yuletide purchases about a month ago to avoid being caught up in the web of high cost of things.
We've made a lot of preparations prior to this month, December. Generally, stocking up things, food items.
I've already have a goat for my children. I want to kill goat for them, then, and some fowls, which I train by myself. So we will enjoy ourselves.
For some residents of Umuahia, the season's celebration is not to be affected by the harsh economic situation in the country.
There's no economic for Christmas. So, according to me, there's no economic for Christmas because you must spend, whether you like it or not.
There are, however, those who only celebrate because of the life they have, as their pockets are not deep enough to make merry as they had wished.
I'm very happy of celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, which Christmas signifies. And moreover, it is a joyful thing for the whole world. Even though that the nation is like this, we are alive. We are all right. We are not on the sick bed. We are not in the mortuary.
This is very hard, though. This is very hard, but anyhow, any little I have, I will use it to prepare for my children, and I will give thanks to God.
To such people, here's some advice for them.
We have been celebrating before the Christmas. Those things people believe will do spend or do eat or cook. We have been eating it before the Christmas.
Others say the season provides opportunity for families and friends to come together.
I like the fact that it brings everyone together, family members, your loved ones, the ones far away, they get to come back and you guys unwind and have fun.
If you don't see your brothers and others most of years ago, when you go home, you see them. You enjoy with them.
Although it is a season of merriment, forgiveness, love, and sharing, the main essence of Christmas is to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, who Christians believe brought salvation to mankind. In Umuahia for News Central, I am Chinwe Ugeli.
Coming up, DR Congo, Rwanda leaders to hold peace talks in Angola. Details shortly. Join us again. Thank you for staying tuned. The presidents of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo will meet on Sunday in Angola for a fresh round of talks aimed at ending the conflict in the DRC's troubled east. Since its reemergence in 2021, the Kigali-backed M23 militia, which claims to defend ethnic Tutsi, has seized swathes of DRC territory, displacing thousands and triggering a humanitarian crisis. Kigali confirmed that Rwandan President Paul Kagame would attend the summit on Sunday, joined by his foreign minister, Olivia Nduhungireyi. The Congolese presidency also confirmed that Felix Tshisekedi would participate despite the DRC's previous refusals to negotiate with Rwanda and its calls for international sanctions against its neighbor. Abu Mohammed al-Johani, head of the Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, which spearheaded the offensive, has called on Syrians to go to the street to express their joy on Friday to mark the victory of the blessed revolution. Interim Prime Minister Mohammed al-Bashir addressed a large congregation at Damascus' landmark Umuahia Mosque on the Muslim day of prayer and rest. Thousands of jubilant Syrians gathered outside a landmark mosque in the capital Damascus to celebrate during the first Friday prayers since the ouster of President Bashar al-Assad. Ousted President Bashar al-Assad fled Syria, closing an era in which suspected dissidents were jailed or killed, and capping nearly 14 years of war that killed more than 500,000 people and displaced millions.
أود أن أبارك للشعب السوري العظيم انتصار الثورة المباركة وأدعوهم للنزول إلى الميادين للتعبير عن فرحتهم بذلك دون إطلاق الرصاص وترويع الناس، ثم بعد ذلك لنتجه إلى بناء هذا البلد، وكما قلناها منذ البداية منصورة بعون الله. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thousands of students demonstrate in front of the Serbian National Television RTS building during the main news bulletin, protesting against the public services coverage of their cause. The students began blockading university faculties 2 weeks ago to demand that authorities be held responsible for the deadly November roof collapse at a railway station that killed 15 people. The government said on Thursday they had now put all documentation in the public domain and accepted a separate demand from students to increase higher education funding by 20%.
Ne, zahtevi nisu ispunjeni. Prvi zahtev, oni su objavili bukvalno želje i pozdrave investitorima i izvršiocima radova. Mi nemamo uopšte projektnu dokumentaciju, nemamo tehničku proveru, nemamo ništa. Treći...
Ne, naravno da nisu ispunjeni svi zahtjevi studenta i mislim da ova vlast vešto igra njihovu igru i da Vučić prebacuje temu samo da ne bi ispunio zahtjeve studenta.
Na blokadama ja sam uz moje studente. Oni su ovde jer počeli su blokadu na fakultetu. Podržavam sve one i uvek ću podržati koji tamburaju po mojim ganglijama i po ganglijama svih ovih ljudi ovde koji su sigurno iznad proseka intelektualno u Srbiji. I moramo ih podržati jer to je naša budućnost. I moje su deca na tom uzrastu, ako ih ne podržimo, Srbija neće imati budućnost.
The European Commission on Friday announced the launch of an air bridge operation to deliver an initial 50 tons of health supplies to Syria via neighboring Turkey. A Commission statement says the items from EU stockpiles in Dubai will be flown to Adana, Turkey, for distribution in Syria in the coming days. UNICEF and the World Health Organization will distribute an additional 46 tons of relief goods in Syria when they are trucked to Adana from an EU stockpile in Denmark. The UN humanitarian agency states that more than 1 million people, mostly women and children, have been newly displaced in Syria since the launch of the rebel offensive that ousted President Bashar al-Assad.
Given the very difficult humanitarian situation in Syria, we would like to announce that we are launching a new humanitarian air bridge operation for those most in need in the country. First of all, the EU-funded 8 flights will bring a total of 50 tons of health supplies, and this is stockpiled in Dubai and will be transferred to Adana in Turkey, from where the distribution across the borders with Turkey, the border of Turkey and Syria, will come in the upcoming days.
The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, has refuted claims that it instructed gas producers to halt supplies to power generation companies, GENCOs, due to a 2 trillion debt. Bolade Agbola, an analyst in macros and equities at Chapel Hill, Denham, shared our insight on the reported 2 trillion naira debt owed to gas producers by GENCOs, discussing the potential role of private investment and partnerships in addressing liquidity and supply chain issues within the Nigerian gas sector on Business Edge.
Because not having their revenue that is due to them will definitely result to liquidity crunch. And up top of my mind, the challenges, the impact is challenges with meeting obligations. And when there are challenges in meeting obligations, they will not be able to, because they also have customers that they have to pay and debts that they have to be funded. If there are challenges in meeting obligation, this would affect operations. So this brings me to the second point, which is operational disruptions. And when we have operational disruption, this is negative for the power sector because maybe they have to downsize on their workforce capacity or downsize on how much they're able to produce as a result of operational disruptions. Then there will not be enough supply to the generating companies, and on and on, it affects consumers at the end of the day. Another thing is insolvency and bankruptcy, and we know that if these gas supplying companies shut down as a result of insolvency and bankruptcy, it would mean that there is serious negative impact for the power in general. There's a role the private sector can play. One low-hanging fruit is providing capital, and we know that for
Nigeria's oil production, including condensate, rose by 9.9% to 1.69 million barrels per day in November 2024, up from 1.538 MBPD in October, according to the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. And despite this increase, production levels remain below OPEC quotas and the benchmark set in the 2024 budget, highlighting ongoing difficulties in achieving production targets. Bola Diagbola, an analyst in macros and equities at Chapel Hill, Denham, shared her insight on the factors contributing to this surge and discussed sustainability on Business Edge.
The major factor that has driven improved oil production is improvement in security along the pipelines, and that is the major thing, because even if we're improving production in terms of the companies and people, operators in that space, if security along the pipeline is a major challenge, we're not going to be able to export most of our products. But the major thing for me is that there's been improved security, and I think it's a very sustainable.
Nigeria's pension fund assets reached 21.92 trillion naira in October 2024, with expectations to exceed 22 trillion naira by the end of the year, as stated by PENCOM Director General Omolola Oloraran. She acknowledged the challenges posed by high inflation, a currency devaluation, and unconventional monetary policies that are affecting the value of funds. In response, PENCOM is reviewing investment regulations to incorporate inflation-protected and foreign currency-denominated assets. Tunji Andrew, CEO of Awaba, shared his insight on the key factors contributing to increase in Nigeria's pension fund assets on Business Edge.
Nigeria has quite a great number of investment managers that work in the pension space who have been driving investments in the space. Also, there's also the conversation of consistent and stable regulation in the pension industry. And then the final factor is the compounding principle of pension situations, where the funds that have been invested over time are now beginning to show a robust return because of the compounding nature of the investments that have gone in. I think we've increased also significantly in the number of RSO holders over time, and that has pushed in more pools of savers into the entire lump sum. But generally, the three major things I believe is the asset managers, the regulation, and also the compounding nature. Investment portfolios have not differed, and you'd also see it in the statement of the DG of PENCOM, and in speaking about the fact that there's been significantly high inflation in Nigeria, also the factors of devaluation, which could erode savings, especially when it is naira denominated. But then she also made allusions to the fact that
In the world of sports, a 6-goal contest saw Apobi FC come from behind to secure a 4-2 victory over Jaros FC on March Day 5 of the 2024-25 Lagos League 7-a-side football tournament. Jaros struck first in the opening minutes, showcasing impressive teamwork to take the lead. However, Apobi quickly turned the tide, equalizing before Ajadi's towering header and a clinical team goal put them up 3-1. A 4th goal scored through a brilliant passing sequence highlighted Appleby's fluid attacking play, leaving Jaros struggling defensively. Despite Abdullahi Gaza pulling one back with a superb free kick to make it 4-2, Jaros FC's efforts to stage a comeback fell short. As Monaco striker Folarin Balogun will be sidelined for approximately 3 months due to a shoulder injury requiring surgery, the 23-year-old American international dislocated his left shoulder in early October, but briefly returned to play 2 matches before missing recent games against Toulouse and Arsenal. Balogun has scored 3 goals in 10 appearances across all competitions this season. A product of Arsenal's academy, Balogun moved to Monaco in August 2023 following a prolific loan spell at Reims. In Ligue 1, he has recorded an impressive 31 goals and 9 assists in 73 matches combined for Monaco and Reims. His absence is a blow to Monaco's attack as they compete for domestic and European success this season. Canelo Alvarez is set to begin negotiations for his next fight in early 2025 as he continues to enjoy a break after his September 14th victory over Edgar Berlanga. Following the win, the reigning WBO and WBCO super middleweight champion had expressed his intention to rest before preparing for his next title defense. President of the WBC, Mauricio Sulaiman, confirmed that the organization won't force a mandatory opponent on Alvarez, unlike the IBF's recent move with Williams' call, which led to Alvarez losing his belt. This means Alvarez can negotiate freely for his next opponent, with Terence Crawford reportedly eyeing the fight, though he must first convince Alvarez to face him. And that's all on the news. Let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Court has granted former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello 500 million naira bail over alleged 80 billion naira fraud. Take It Back movement has demanded the release of activist Abiodun Thomas. We also told you that DR Congo, Rwanda leaders are set to hold peace talks in Angola. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adeduba.